Something refers to the limit of truth. Saints ripen beings and lead them to find this nirvana dharma dhatu. Beings with sharp faculties know that all dharmas are dharma dhatu. These beings are like people having the super knowledge of magic who are able to transform bricks into gold. Beings of weak faculties carefully scrutinize dharmas and finally find the dharma dhatu in them. They are like workers in a big foundry who break up rock and finally find gold. Moreover, the waters that naturally flow downward end up all together in the ocean, finally all becoming of one taste, the taste of salt. It is the same for dharmas. Their general characteristics and the specific characteristics all end up in the dharma dhatu and they become assimilated into the single nature which is none other than the absence of nature. Alaksana. That is the dharma dhatu. The thunderbolt at the top of a mountain gradually sinks down to the bottom of the diamond level and there, rejoining its own element, it stops. It is the same with dharmas. When one analyzes and explores them wisely, one reaches the very center of the tathata and, on leaving this tathata, one enters into the intrinsic nature. The tathata without birth from the very beginning and eliminating all futile proliferation is called dharma dhatu. When the calf is tied up, it cries and bawls, but when it has found its mother again, it immediately stops crying. It is the same with dharmas. Many and diverse, they are dissimilar in being taken and being rejected, but as soon as they are gathered into their dharma dhatu, they cease at once. There is no way to go beyond that. That is the dharma dhatu. 3. Buddhakati. As I have said above, the dharma dhatu is called true, and the place of entry is called the highest point. Asterisk. Furthermore, taken individually, dharmas are ninefold. 1. They have existence. 2. Each has its own attribution. Thus the eye and the ear are equally derived from the four great elements, but the eye alone can see whereas the ear does not have the power to see. Or again, fire has heat for attribution, but it cannot moisten. 3. Each has its own power. Thus fire has heat for power, and water has moistness for power. 4. They each have their own causes. 5. They each have their own object. 6. They each have their own effect. 7. They each have their own essence. 8. They each have their own limits. 9. They each have their own opening up and preparations. When the dharmas arise, their existence and their other attributes make up 9 things in all. Knowing that these dharmas each have their existence and their full complement of attributes is the lower worldly tathata. Knowing that these 9 things finally end up in change and ruin is the middling tathata. Just as the body that comes from impurities, even though it is bathed and adorned, finally returns to impurity, so dharmas are neither existent nor non-existent, neither produced nor annihilated. The absolute purity that destroys all consideration about the dharmas is the higher tathata. Some say, in these 9 things, there is a dharma called tathata, just as there is solidity in earth, moistness in water, warmth in fire, movement in wind, and consciousness in mind. Dharmas of this kind are called tathata. Pakaya Sutta. Thus it is said in a sutra. Whether there are Buddhas or there are no Buddhas, the tathata, dharmata, dharmasthita remain in the world eternally, that is to say, the formations have ignorance as condition. That is the eternal tathata, the primordial law. The dharma dhatu is the essence in the 9 things. When one takes possession of the realization of the fruit, there is buddhakati. Moreover, the true nature of dharmas is eternally stable and immobile. As a result of their passions, ignorance, etc., beings transform and distort this true nature. The Buddha and the saints preach the Dharma to them using all kinds of salvific means and annihilate their passions, ignorance, etc. so well that beings rediscover the true nature, primordial and unchanged, that is called tathata. This true nature, in contact with ignorance, is transformed and becomes impure. But if one eliminates ignorance, etc., one finds the true nature. It is called dharma dhatu, vijati, buddhakati. That is the entry into 9a, the dharma dhatu. The dharma dhatu is immense, limitless, extremely subtle and admirable. There is no dharma that surpasses the dharma dhatu or that diverges from it. In its presence, mind is fulfilled and, without looking for anything else, it actualizes it. The traveler who, day after day, has gone on without ever stopping, no longer has the idea of starting again. It is the same for the yogin established in Buddhakoti. Take, for example, an Arhat or Pratyeka Buddha who is established in Buddhakoti. Even if Buddhas as many as the sands of the Ganges were to preach the Dharma to him, he would not progress any further because he has attained his goal. Moreover, having actualized nirvana, he is no longer reborn in the threefold world. As for the Bodhisattva entered into the Dharmadhatu, it is uncertain whether he knows the Buddhakoti. Although he has not yet fully perfected the 6 perfections, he converts beings. If he realized nirvana at that time, that would prevent him from someday attaining the Bodhi of the Buddhas. From then on, by the power of his great compassion and his exertion, the Bodhisattva returns to exercising the practices. Moreover, the Bodhisattva knows that in the true nature of dharmas there is no eternal dharma or happy dharma or personal dharma or real dharma. He also abandons these considerations of the dharmas. The cessation of all considerations of this kind is precisely the true tathata of dharmas, nirvana, non-production, non-cessation, primordial non-arising. Thus, water is cold, but if it brought close to fire, it gets hot. When the fire is extinguished, the heat disappears and the water gets cold again as before. Applying considerations of dharmas to the tathata is like bringing the water close to the fire. Suppressing all considerations about dharmas is like extinguishing the fire so that the water becomes cold again. That is the tathata, truly and eternally subsistent. Why is that? Because the Dharmadhatu is like that. Just as there is an empty aspect in every material dharma, so there is a nature of nirvana called Dharmadhatu in dharmas. The nature of nirvana is also in the many skillful means used to attain nirvana. At the time when nirvana is realized, tathata and Dharmadhatu are Buddhakoti. Finally, the immense, limitless Dharmadhatu, unable to be measured by the mind and mental events, is called Dharmadhatu. It is so wondrous that it is called Buddhakoti. Adhipatya. 3rd section, Mastering the 4 Great Elements. Sutra. Furthermore, Sariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva who wishes to calculate the number of subtle atoms contained in the great earth and mountains of the Trisahasra Mahasahasra Lokadhatu must practice the perfection of wisdom. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva must practice the perfection of wisdom if, after having cut a hair into